Hi everyone. Now in this session we'll revise three most important chapters of book 4, Valuation and Risk Model. So first chapter we'll revise the binomial option pricing, then we will revise the BSM, Black-Scholes-Merton Model, and then we will revise Greeks. So these three chapters accounts for approximately 8 to 9 questions in examination, considering the previous examinations or considering the previous pattern. Now first we will start with the revision of the binomial option pricing. Here my expectation is you know all the basics of all three concepts so that you can take the maximum advantage of this revision session. Now first let's start with the binomial option pricing. Binomial option pricing. Now here in binomial option pricing we all know what is the binomial option pricing. These are two legs, so we know this is SU, SD and this is S0. So we are provided with the S0 say 100. Upward movement I'm directly assuming here, then we will see the U calculation, the D calculation. So upward movement means in 1 year's time frame. Here I'm assuming the 1 year, I'm assuming the one step model, and this is 1 year. So in 1 year the probability or the possibility is that this underlying price will go up to, or the stock price will go up to 110, and by the same proportion it should go down 90. And this particular movement of two possibility is known as the binomial. Binomial means two movements. So here we have the two movements. One is upward movement, second is the downward movement. And we are starting with the underlying price is the 100. Upward movement, if it goes up, then it is 110. If it goes down, it's 90. Here we have to calculate the payoff, and let's assume the call option. Payoff, call, where the strike price is equal to 80. If the strike price is 80, we will get CU. CU means the call's payoff up movement or upward leg. So this is 80, 30, and CD downward movement. This is 10. Now here, these are two possibilities. When there is a possibility, we need the probability. So let's talk about the probability. So what is the probability of upward movement and downward movement? So main question or the main setup of binomial option pricing is this only, like how to deal with the probability. Once you understand how to calculate the probability, things are very simple because anyone can calculate this particular part, right? So let's start with the probability calculation. So for probability, let's start with the illustration. So currently underlying price is 100. SU is 110. SD is 90. Time to maturity is 1 year. Risk-free rate is say 10%. And we are doing this for one step binomial. Okay. Now the probability calculation. So for probability calculation, we need first the formula. So what is the probability of upward movement and then the probability of downward movement? Probability of upward movement, probability of downward movement. So for the probability of upward movement, formula is e to the power RT minus D divided by U minus D, assuming the risk-free rate, this rate, is continuously compounded. This particular information will be given in your examination, so you don't have to bother about it. Second, if the information is given in effective format, this particular risk-free rate is given in the effective format, then your formula is 1 plus R, that is 1 plus 0.10 minus D divided by U minus D. And the formula for the downward movement is, probability of downward movement is 1 minus P of U. Simple. Okay, so this calculation is simple. Now the question is what is U and what is D? So I have to only deal with this, like what is U and what is D, and once you know what is U and what is D, you'll be able to solve this question. So we already know this is SU is equal to 110 and SD is equal to 90. So 110 divided by current price and SD is equal to 90 divided by current price. Okay, so simply this formula is underlying price when for the upward leg and S0 current price, and this for D. So underlying price at the downward leg divided by S0, and this is the formula we are using. Okay, now simply solve this. The answer is 1.10 here, and this is 0.90, and we already know 1 plus R. Let's assume the continuously compounded rate, because in the like GARP's curriculum the rate is assumed as a continuously compounded rate, and anyway you are not going to see like huge difference here. So difference is going to be very marginal, even if you by mistake assume continuously compounded instead of effective if the rate is given in effective or vice versa. So e to the power RT 0.10 time period 1 year. The year is 1 year. So we will take 1 minus D 0.90 divided by 1.10 minus 0.90 for the calculator. Here the art is using calculator as fast as possible. Okay. Okay. Now just understand the use of calculator here. So we'll start with the first. We are going to use the store function. So first 0.10 second exponential. One more note. If I make mistake in calculation, because here I'm using the software based calculator, which is slightly tricky to handle. Sometimes it does not respond. So you make sure that you are correcting or you are calculating values correctly. Minus 0.90, whatever is the answer, 0.10 second exponential minus 0.90, whatever is the answer, store it in the 1.10 minus 0.90, 1.10 minus 0.90, whatever is the answer, store it in the 2, recall 1 divided by recall 2, answer is okay. So here the answer is 1.0258 and so on. This problem is because of taking random values. Okay, so I have to just change few values here. So what we will do, instead of assuming this rate as 10%, let's assume this rate as 5% and our problem will be solved. Okay, this is a problem with BSM model. If your rate, interest rate or risk-free rate is more than or equal to the volatility, here volatility is approximately like 10% jump here and upward and downward. So for this reason we are seeing this particular problem. So simply we will solve this problem by taking or changing the rate as 5%. We have to solve this again, multiplied by 1, and now 0.05 second exponential minus 0.90, whatever is the answer, store it in the 1. We already know 0.20 is for the this, like the denominator. So simply recall 1 divided by recall 2, and the answer is 0.7563. So what is the probability of upward movement? So this. What is the probability of downward movement? 1 minus 0.75. I'm just rounding this off. 0.75 assumed, and 0.75. This is 0.25. So now we have our probabilities. 0.75 here and 0.25 here. And then we have to simply calculate the expected payoff and simply discount it with the rate given. So for the calculation of call price, formula goes like 30 multiplied by, here we are calculating the expected value of payoff, and then 10 multiplied by 0.25 divided by 1.05. You can also take the e to the power formula, no problem with that, and simply solve this. So 30 multiplied by 0.75, store it in the 1, 10 multiplied by 0.25, store it in 2, recall 1 plus recall 2, what is the answer, store it in 3, recall 3 divided by 1.05, answer is 23.809. This is your call price. Fine. This is a one-step binomial model. Then let's see two-step binomial. Now we will assume the two-step binomial model. So same information but in two-step. So for two-step, the information will be like this. So we'll start with the S0 is equal to 100, SU is still our 110, SD is equal to 90, SUU, I already know the answer, this is 121, SUD and SDU, S downward and upward and S upward and downward. Okay, so UD and DU stands for this. This is 100, 100, and then SDD is equal to 90, 80, 81. Okay, now see here, how are we calculating this? So from this to this, so simple, you have to multiply it by u. When you are going from this to this, you have to multiply it by d. Okay, so again, same rule is applicable for all. So what is u here? So 110 divided by 100 is equal to 1.10, and d is equal to 90 downward price divided by current price. This is 0.90. So simply multiplied with the 1.10 multiplied, and then 1.10 multiplied, and whatever is the answer, this is the answer. Okay, so 121. Then we have to calculate the payoff. Okay, CUU, then I'll just change the color, CUU, then CUD and CDU, and then CDD. So what is the payoff here? We assumed strike price is equal to 80, right? So by assuming strike price is equal to 80, this payoff is approximately 41.20, and this is $1. And here, once you have this, you have to calculate the expected value of this payoff, discount it, calculate the expected value, discount it, and that's it. Here, remember, when you are assuming two-step binomial, this is the common mistake students make in the examination. Our total time period is 1 year. We are assuming two-step. So because we are assuming two-step, you have to take this as a 6 months, this as a 6 months, divide 1 year into two parts. And now your calculation for the probability will be is for 6 months only. Okay, so that's why we have to calculate the probability again. So here the probability, we will calculate it. We have the payoffs, now the probability. So probability of upward movement is equal to e to the power RT minus d divided by u minus d is equal to e to the power 0.05 multiplied by 0.5 for half of the year minus d 0.90 divided by 1.10 minus 0.90. One more thing, I guess I told you, when you are going from here to here, you have to multiply it by 0.90. So 1.10 and then 110 multiplied by 0.90. You will get 100. You are not going to get 100, you will get 99, but I assumed 100. I will tell you what is the problem, why there is problem, why there is mismatch. Now first let's solve this. Then PD is equal to 1 minus PU is equal to. So let's solve this. Just a second. So 0.05 multiplied by 0.5 second exponential minus 0.90. 0.05 multiplied by 0.5 second exponential minus 0.90. Whatever is the answer divided by 0.20 is equal to, the answer is 0.6265. Okay, let's assume 6266. So what we did? Difference divided by difference. And then 1 minus 0.6266, 1 minus 0.6266, 3734. 3734. Okay, so this is our PD, this is our PU, and now you have to solve this particular question. So first, the upward movement, the SUU, calculate the payoff part, that is the expected payoff. So here we will be multiplying it with the probability of U. Then for this $1 we will be using PD. So PD multiplied by PD, PU multiplied by PU. Then here for this case, so PU multiplied by PD, and this is how we go. Okay, so call option price is equal to, so first the payoff 41 multiplied by 0.6266 multiplied by 0.6266. Okay, up. This is the joint probability, right? So this multiplying probability with probability, we are calculating the joint probability. Then plus 2 into, why 2 into? Because here we have same value and from two paths. Okay, so this particular value CUD and CDU is same, and the probabilities are also same. So that's why we can simply multiply it with the 2. So here the answer is like 20 multiplied by 0.6266 multiplied by 0.3734 plus 2 in not 2 into $1, simply 1, multiplied by 0.3734 multiplied by 0.3734 divided by 1.05. Remember, discounting is for full year. Only the probability calculation is for the periodic, and now you have to discount it for full year. And whatever is the answer is your call price. Similarly, you can do the put price calculations. Over the put price, you have to again simply calculate the payoff for the put. You already know how to calculate the payoff for the put. Once you calculate the payoff for the put, you are good to go. You will be able to solve the answer or get the answer. Now here, this particular calculation or all the calculations we did is for European. Okay, and the values like S0 is equal to 100, U is equal to 110. I assume these values. Now, when I assume these values, I was able to calculate U and D. Now remember, in examination, you will be provided with the information which is in volatility terms or maybe in premium terms. So there are multiple ways to provide the information for upward movement and downward movement. So how this information can be provided? So first is the direct information, which is generally not tested in examination. Okay, so GAP generally don't provide direct information, but if you get the direct information, now you know how to calculate U and D. This is the general mistake students commit because they are not used to seeing the direct information, and when they see the direct information, they get confused. Here I first started with the direct information. Now second is the premium information. So premium is at each leg the underlying price will move by 10%. So this is a premium information. That is a 10% upward, 10% downward. So if S0 is equal to 100, SU is equal to 110. Why? 10% premium. So 100 plus 10%. Simply do this in your calculator. 100 minus 10%. So SD is equal to 90. Then there is a volatility format which is given in the book. Volatility is provided. Sigma is equal to, say, we have to carefully take the sigma, say 12%. Okay, so if we take the 12% and we are doing calculation for a whole year, then our up factor and down factor is calculated like this: e to the power sigma root t, and for down factor 1 divided by u, you can use this. And here if you do this calculation, so e to the power 0.12 multiplied by under root 1, because we are doing the calculation for 1 year. And now take 0.12 second exponential multiply by 100, and the answer is 112.74, and 1 by x, just a second. First we are calculating u only, right? So second exponential 1.127, and for D calculation simply press 1 by x, so 0.8869, and now you have this information. And from here we will calculate SU and SD. So our SU is 112.7 and SD is 88.69. Okay, and then similarly you can calculate the SUU by multiplying this 112.7 into 1.127 again. Okay, you will get the SUU. If you want to calculate the SDD, then 88.69 multiplied by 0.8869, and you will get the answer. Okay, so simple. For the same, like if you want to calculate the SUD, for SUD, take any value, 112.7 multiplied by the downward factor 8869, and you don't have to do any calculation here. Answer is going to be the 100 only. Okay, fine. So this is how we calculate the upward movement and downward movement factors if the information is provided in the volatility format. If the information is provided in the direct value format or the premium format, then you have to calculate U and D by simply taking SU divided by S0 or SD divided by S0. Okay, remember this. For this, these formulas are applicable. For volatility part, you have to first calculate the upward factor and the downward factor, and then you will get the SU and SD. In exam, you will get this information mostly. Okay, because GAP's curriculum uses this information. Okay, the volatility format. So here till this point, we saw the European option. Okay, now we will see the American option. We all know American option have a special feature, and the special feature is early exercise. And again, for this one step, if we assume the one step binomial option pricing, then things will be the same. Okay, so one step binomial as in if you use the American option in one step binomial option pricing, then European option and American option will behave same manner. So changes happen for the American and the European after two-step binomial option. So in case of the American option, again we'll start with the S0 100, SU is equal to 110, SD is equal to 90. Just a second, we have okay, we are using same values only, right? So 110, this is 90, SUU is equal to 121, SUD and SDU is equal to 100, SDD is equal to, I guess, 81. Okay, now probability is here 6266 and 3734. 6266 3734 3. Okay, 6266 3734 6266 3734. So these are our probabilities. Now for the calculation of American option, first we have to calculate the payoffs. Our strike price is, the option strike price is 80, type of option is call option. So here CUU is equal to 41, then CUD and DU is equal to 20, and here this is 1. Okay, now see, in case of American option, we have to also calculate the CU and CD, the payoff at each leg. Okay, so for European option, you can do the direct calculation. For this particular setup, for the American option, you have to calculate the payoff at each step. So here our payoff is 80 to 110, this is 30, and for CD, this is 80 to 90, 10. Okay, now first we will calculate the expected payoff, expected CU, and then expected CD, and expected CU and expected CD simply multiply this and this with these probabilities. Okay, expected value of CU is equal to 41 multiplied by 0.6266 plus 20 multiplied by 0.3734 divide by, and here we will do the discounting, and discounting is for only 6 months. Okay, because this is 6 months period only. So for 6 months discounting, 1 plus 0.05 is our rate divided by 2, 0.25. So 41 multiplied by 0.6266, whatever is the answer, store it in the 1. 20 multiplied by 0.37334, whatever is the answer, store it in the 2. Recall 1 plus recall 2 divided by 1.025, 32.349. $30 32.349, 32.349. Then expected value of CD. So this 1 multiplied by this probability, 20 multiplied by this probability. We'll directly do the calculation instead of writing this. 20 multiplied by 0.6266 multiplied, okay, so 20 multiplied by 0.6266 plus bracket open 0.3734 multiplied by 1 bracket close, whatever is the answer, divided by 1.025. This is 12.59. Okay, so expected value. Now remember, I directly assumed this particular rate, the 5% rate, as semi-annual. If you want to do this, like simply divide the 5% by 2, you will need a semi-annual rate. And if the question requires this, then GAP will specifically provide the semi-annual rate. So you don't have to bother about it. If the rate is provided in the continuously compounded format, our same discounting will go like this. Instead of this, we will use e to the power minus 0.05 multiplied by 0.5. And answer will be approximately same. Okay, so very close. Instead, it is not going to be like very different from the existing calculation. Now here, what we need to do? First, at this particular point, we will compare CU with expected value of CU and CD with expected value of CD. Check CU or CD, expected value of CU, and here we have this value higher, and here we have this value higher. So we will proceed with these values. In case, say CU, for now I'm assuming the CU is 35, then we will take CU and not expected value of CU. Okay. So exactly what is happening here, because we know American option can be exercised early before its expiration, we assume that if the call option holder gets this option to exercise option early, and if he knows that this particular option is going to be the valuable or more valuable at this particular point, at this cutoff for the 6 months, he will exercise it here only, and that's why his payoff will be higher. So whatever is the higher value, you have to take the higher value and then discount it. Okay. So once you get these values, let's discount it. So simply, so 32.344 plus 12.59 multiply 0.6266, then 0.3734 divided by e to the power, or whatever you like. You can directly use the direct formula and simply solve this, and you will get the call price American. Okay, so that's the difference between the American and the European option. Fine. So this is all about the first part, the binomial option part. Let's check the notes. And in notes, first we have 1-step binomial introduction, then 2-step binomial, how things differ here, and then there are calculations and the information, like it can be directly provided, direct in the factor format. Like directly 1.12 is provided, or 1.1, the upward factor U is directly provided. This is possible. Direct form is like 110 is provided. Direct factor form is 1.10 is provided. Percentage form is 10% premium. Okay, so 10% price movement is provided. Volatility form is in the form of volatility. In the form of volatility, this is your formula. And for the U calculation, this is your sigma root T. Always remember, sigma is multiplied by root T. You may make mistake of directly multiplying it by T. Then we have rest of the calculation. So same, we already discussed this. Then step 4 and 5. So everything is mentioned in steps. Then adjustment for the adjustments in binomial option pricing model. First, if you have the dividend paying option, if dividend is in the yield format, then the adjustment is done in the PU, the probability is adjusted, rest of the calculation will automatically get adjusted. And here e to the power R minus Q, that is this Q is dividend in yield format, okay, minus D divided by U minus D. Rest of the formula is same, simply R is adjusted, and here obviously we are multiplying it with the T. Then we have currency option. If you have the currency option, then PU is equal to, only changes are in the PU only. So e to the power risk-free rate of home currency minus risk-free rate of foreign currency. Okay, minus D divided by U minus D. This is the formula we have to use. Then for the futures contract, we simply, instead of v to the power RT, we take the 1 minus d divided by u minus d. The explanation is already provided, like why we are taking 1 for futures contract. Okay, so these are options on, like if the option is the underlying is dividend paying, then how to calculate the call price or the put price. Then we have next was the currency option. If the option is on the currency, if option is on the futures contract in this particular case, like that. Then we have the American option. Okay, for American option, we already saw how to do the calculation. All the calculations are provided here. And remember, delta is calculated like this. We will need delta in the next to next chapter. Then we have the concept of replicating portfolio. Replicating portfolio is very simple and straightforward concept. Here we assume the two portfolios. The first portfolio is the call option portfolio. Second portfolio is the stock plus borrowing. And stock plus borrowing portfolio is what you need to calculate, and then you will be able to match it with the call option portfolio. So here the composition of the portfolio is a portfolio one composition is a 2 call option with a strike price of 121 and time to maturity is 1 year. Okay, so first you have to use this. Then the portfolio 2's composition is underlying 100 and just a second. First I will show you the reason behind the composition. Okay, now we have to assume, so this is first is the reasoning behind the composition and then there is a composition. Okay, now see, assume the stock is currently trading at $100 and expected to go up to 120 and 50. So this is the situation. So 200, 250. Okay, so always remember the combination, the portfolio is of one stock and one borrowing. So stock price will be provided in examination. What is the borrowing? So always remember, whatever is the down price, you have to calculate the present value of this 50 and this is your borrowing value. Okay, so here what we will do, first you have to buy stock and also buy stock and borrow, and this is in process of generating a bankruptcy free portfolio. So bankruptcy free portfolio is created like this. So first of all, we will borrow the present value of 50 and the present value of 50 is annual, assuming the annual rate of 10%, the present value of 50 is 44.451. Now see here, we want to buy one option, one underlying also, right? One stock, one borrowing. So we borrowed 45.45. I want to buy stock which is currently priced at 100. So I need to put some cash from my own pocket. So this is my cash, this is my borrowing the present value. So 45.45 plus 54.55 cash. If you take the total, we have $100 in our pocket, and now you can use this $100 to buy one stock. Now you have in portfolio 2, which is known as the bankruptcy free portfolio, as one stock and borrowing's present value is equal to, the borrowing's value is equal to the present value of the underlying downward movement. Okay, now here we have the two scenarios. So case 1, remember we assumed this particular stock can go up and down. Okay, so we have to take, or we will be able to take only these two cases. So 200 and 50. So in case 1 we will take the 200, in case 2 we will take the 50. Now here in portfolio 1 we have two calls. Currently strike price is 125. If your underlying price is 200, then you will get 75 payoff on each call. Total payoff is 120. Now let's check what's happening with our bankruptcy portfolio. So stock is currently worth 200. We have one stock, present value of the downward movement underlying. So 200. And now you have to pay $50 because this is principal you borrowed plus interest is going to be the 50. So what is left in your pocket is the final amount. This is the 150. How? So we sold stock for 200 minus we paid interest plus principal 50. So remaining is the 150. Now here we can clearly see both the stocks have equal payoff at maturity if the underlying price is $200. Now what's happening if the underlying price is $50? In this particular case, call option will lapse and hence there is no payoff, 0. Currently in this particular case, the stock is worth 50 and borrowing is also worth 50. So we will sell the stock and pay off our loans. Again, our payoff in this particular case is 0. So we sold stock, we got 50, we paid all the loans there is a present value of, sorry, not the present value, 50. So interest plus principal. So we paid that, payoff is 0. So here, again, payoff is same. Now principle is, if you have two portfolios which are generating equal payoff at the maturity at a specific point in time, then they should be priced at the same level. And that's why price of the two call option should be equal to price of the portfolio 2. Like this. Price of the two call option means the portfolio 1's price should be equal to portfolio 2. Simple. Now here, in portfolio 1 we have two call options, and in portfolio 2, remember, what is the price of that portfolio? Portfolio 2. We borrowed 45 and we paid from our own pocket 54, I guess, right? So the value is 54.50. So price of portfolio 2 is 54.50, and that's why the call price is equal to 54.55 divided by 2, 27.27, and this is your price of call using the this particular replicating portfolio. Then we have the next chapter, which is the Black-Scholes-Merton model. Black-Scholes-Merton model is very simple. So we have to start with the assumptions. Assumptions are testable. Okay, let's read out these assumptions. So first assumption is the normal distribution assumption with the mean and constant. What is normally distributed? Returns are normally distributed. Then there are no transaction cost or taxes, and all the securities are perfectly divisible. This is what you need to remember. Okay, this is also known as a frictionless market. There are no dividends on stock during the life of option. Then no arbitrage opportunity. Then unlimited lending and borrowing at the same risk-free rate and is constant throughout the time. And option cannot be exercised early. This means that this is the BSM model is not applicable for American option. This is only applicable for the European option. Okay, so this is what you need to remember. Now, there are no transaction costs. Is easy to understand. This is risk-free rate is constant, and there is one more assumption. Okay, the assumption is this: volatility is constant. So in reality, volatility is changing, but we assume in BSM model that volatility is constant. Okay, so there are two constants here. So one, risk-free rate is constant, then volatility is constant. Next, this is our BSM model. For the BSM model, the base formula is this. Okay, so base formula goes like S0 for the call option, for the call, S0 into ND1 minus X into e to the power minus RT into ND2. What is ND1? ND2 is the question. For the put option, we have formula just reverse. X into e to the power minus RT into N.
One moment. Okay, I found this on the
1 minus ND2, then minus S0 into 1 minus ND1. Simply take the ND1, ND2 and then 1 minus, okay, for the put option.
Here's what I found.
Now, how to remember this formula? If you find this formula like difficult, then this formula is very simple. So we all know how to calculate the payoff. Payoff is calculated for the call option and the put option is equal to S minus X and then X minus S. So here always remember e to the power minus RT and e to the power minus RT is used for the present value of the strike price, because S minus present value of the strike price is assumed here. There is explanation, but we are not concerned with the explanation in this particular part. So then you multiply it with the ND1, S is multiplied with the ND1, S is S0, and this is multiplied by ND2, and this is again here N minus D2. Remember, N minus D2 and 1 minus ND2 is exactly same. So N minus D2 is equal to 1 minus ND2. Same is applicable for D1. Now here N minus D1. So simply this is the formula. Very basic, very simple. Now the question is how to calculate the D1 and D2. So D1, D2 calculation is the headache for students. Rest of the chapter is very simple and easy for everyone. So here I will just give you the insight like how to calculate this particular like D1 and D2. How to remember the formula for the D1 and D2. Always remember, if you see this formula in totality, then you will be afraid of this particular formula. Fine. Divide this formula in 3 parts first. So first we are calculating the D1 part. For the D1, our formula is ln of s upon x. So ln of s upon x. How we calculate the return? So ln of st1 or st upon st minus 1, like that, right? So same formula is applicable here. So ln of s upon x. S upon x. This is the confusion area generally, or in some cases students do this. So always remember, what is on the numerator? It is s divided by x. Okay, ln of s upon x. I am intentionally repeating this formula again and again, so it gets fixed in your mind. Then this is plus. So this is part A, B and C. If I say the formula is A plus B divided by C, you will be able to remember. So what is A? ln of s upon x. Now you remember this, simple. So ln of s upon x. So first part is clear. Next part. R plus sigma square divided by 2. Now how to say this? Say risk-free rate plus half of variance time adjusted. Say like this, risk-free rate plus half of variance time adjusted. Again repeat this, risk-free rate plus half of variance time adjusted. Now I will write whatever I am saying. Risk-free rate plus half of variance time adjusted. Remember, risk-free rate and variance are adjusted by time by multiplying it with t. So this t is time to maturity. And C is volatility, time adjusted. And volatility is always adjusted by under root t. Volatility, time adjusted. Simple. Okay. So let's see again. A is equal to, what is the formula for D1? We'll start like this. So what is the formula for D1? A plus B divided by C. 1. This is how you have to remember. Now what is A? We know ln of s upon x plus. Now risk-free rate plus half of variance time adjusted multiplied for t, and divided by volatility time adjusted under root t. And you have to remember this, sigma is always multiplied by under root t, variance is always multiplied by t, r is always multiplied by t. Under no circumstances you will see sigma is multiplied by t. Sigma means the volatility, standard deviation, is always multiplied by under root t. So we got our formula. Now what is D2? D2 is D1 minus volatility time adjusted. Volatility time adjusted. So you have to simply write this formula instead of remembering this formula. Okay. And now what is D1 and D2? So, okay, sorry. What is, like, we already know how to calculate D1 and D2. What is ND1 and ND2? ND1 and ND2 are the probabilities. Okay, so value of ND1 and ND2, if you have this normal distribution, if D1 is equal to say 0.5825, I'm just writing random value. So then we are calculating probability till here. Okay, so this. Okay. And D2 will be somewhere here, and then we will calculate the D2. Okay, so D1 and D2 is calculated like this. Now what is N minus D1? Simply the opposite. So simply, if you have to calculate the, sorry, this is N D1, okay, and then no, this is D1. We assume D1, right? So D1. And you have to calculate the probability. So this is your Z value. And these Z values will be provided. And you have to calculate or use the one tail. And from left, always remember, from left. So you have to find out the Z value. And this value will always be greater than, always. If you don't want to make mistake in examination, this value, this ND1, for the call option is going to be, or for the, even for the put option, is going to be the, like generally this is greater than 50%. If the ln is greater than, okay, just leave it. Okay, don't use this particular shortcut because this shortcut is risky, and you should use this shortcut only in the risk or the crisis time. Okay, but generally your D1 will be greater than 50 only, okay, 50%, 0.50. Why? Because D1 is going to be the positive always. If D1 is positive, then D1 will always land after 0 because this is a 0 point. So D1 will always land after 0. If D1 is always landing after 0, then ND1 is going to be the greater than 0.50, like this. If you are comfortable in this, then fine. If you are not, then simply use the formulas in the Z table. GAF will provide the Z tables extract, not the full Z table. Okay, don't expect the full booklet of that Z table. Now here we have this ND1 and ND2 values, and you all know how to calculate this. Then we have the adjustments in the BSM model. So how to adjust the BSM models, BSM model for the dividend. Remember, we started with the assumption that there is no dividend. That's why we are adjusting dividend in the BSM formula, because BSM model have no space for dividend adjustment. D1, okay, dividend adjustment. So remember, dividend is always adjusted in underlying price. So only change you are going to see in complete BSM setup for dividend or any other change is in S0. So S0 will be adjusted for dividend, and we will call this as SA after adjustment. Okay. So assuming the dividend in yield format, so your formula is S0 into e to the power minus dividends yield rate multiplied by T. If the dividend is provided in the dollar format, then calculate the present value of the dividend and then reduce it from S0. Okay. So simply there is only one adjustment, and remember, wherever you are seeing S0 in complete BSM calculation, you have to simply change S0 with SA. Simply change S0 with SA. That's it. That's it. Okay. There is no other adjustment. Fine. Then adjustment for the currency option, same for the dividend yield. You will do the same thing here. So whatever is the domestic, what is the foreign currencies rate adjusted by, instead of Q, this Q, assume foreign currencies rate, RF. That's it. And then S0 is SA, and you are good to go. Then adjustment for the options on futures, not at all important. Then there is a warrant calculation. So just see how to adjust the warrant. Generally not that highly testable area. Then return distribution, again not highly testable area. Return calculation, you already know how to do the calculation of returns. So standard deviation, time adjusted and everything. Okay. So then the volatility, we all know the volatility part. Now there is an implied volatility. So remember, whatever we saw in the BSM option, Black-Scholes-Merton model, we saw this for the call price calculation. But here we all know, if you are working or if you have market information, then C0 is available, risk-free rate is available, underlying price is available. So these are observed values, and this X and T is known values. Okay, known values means if I provide you one particular option which has a strike price and time to maturity, specific strike price and time to maturity, then these two values are known to you. And anyway, call price R and the risk-free rate and the S0 underlying price are again observable. You can check it in the market. So only thing which is not known is this particular part. So sigma. So we use same BSM model. We take all the values. Instead of calculating C0, we use the market value of C0, and then we reverse calculate the volatility, because volatility is not observed in the market. So we reverse calculate it. So this reverse calculated volatility is known as the implied volatility, because this is implied by the BSM formula, and that's why we call this as the implied volatility. So that's it. This is what you need to know. Okay. So then we have reading number 16, option sensitivity measure, the Greeks. In Greeks, we have these Greeks. So delta, gamma, theta, vega, rho. Most important are delta, gamma and vega. Theta and rho are not that important. So first, what is the Greeks? Like Greeks tell you the sensitivity of option price with respect to these factors. So delta stands for the underlying price changes. Gamma is the curvature measure, the convexity part of the delta. Then theta is for the time decay impact on the on the option price. Vega is the volatility's impact on the option price, and rho is the interest rates impact on the option price. Now, these are the hedging techniques. So first is the covered position and the stop loss strategy and the Greeks. So covered position, you already understand what is a covered position, or do nothing strategy means don't do anything. Covered position as in if you have underlying price, then simply you will buy the put option. If the underlying price falls, you will have the put option. If you are considering this from the like calls standpoint, if you are taking short position in call, then buy one stock like this. So this is a covered position, like, right? So these are the covered position. Stop loss means simply put the stop loss. Again, you know what is stop loss. We already discussed this in book 3. Then there is a Greek. So Greek is a sophisticated measure, and we are starting with the delta, gamma, vega, and so on. So here, let's see what is delta and first. So here we have some clear information. If I have to calculate delta roughly, I will calculate it like this. So call price new, call price old divided by underlying price new, underlying price old. If I have this call option, if I simply assume the new price is 110 and old price is say 100, and option price was say 10 before and 15 now, new price, so your delta is 0.5. So we all know for the call option, whenever the underlying price increases, calls price will increase, and that's why you will always have delta positive, okay, for call option. Then for the put option, same example, underlying price increased from 100 to 110, and we know the puts price will decrease. So this will go from 15 to 10, because as the price increases, puts price will decrease. And here we will get 0.5 negative. And remember, because of this phenomena, there is a negative relationship between the underlying price changes and the put price changes, or the puts options price changes. So that's why delta is always a negative for put and positive for call. Very simple. Now here, this is delta. Delta simply means for the individual option, what is a delta? Then there is position delta. Then there is portfolio delta. Okay. Now what is position delta and portfolio delta? Simple. Delta is, as we discussed, sensitivity of option with respect to underlying price, right? Now we know delta of call option, delta of call is always positive and delta of put is always negative. Now remember, if you take long position, you will own the sign. Own sign. And if you take short position in option, you will have opposite sign. Fine. Means if you have one call option, then you will have the positive delta, and this is the position delta. Okay, I will further elaborate on the position delta. But if you take the long position in call option, then long call or simply LC will always have positive delta. As I said, if you take the short position, you will own the opposite sign. If you take the long position, you will own the same sign. For the call, we know the positive delta. For put, we know there is a negative delta. So if the delta is always positive and negative for this call and the put option respectively, if you take the long position in call, you will have the positive delta. If you take the long position in put, you will have the negative delta. If you take the short position in call, you will have the opposite sign. So your delta will be negative, position delta will be negative. And here you will have the positive delta. For the short put, you will have the positive delta. So let's start with the again. So long call, position delta positive. Long put, position delta negative. Short call, position delta negative. Short put, position delta positive. Why? I already explained. You have to remember this. Okay, so this is the area where students make mistake. Now generally, the range of delta is -1 to +1. For call option, this is 0 to 1, and for put option this is 0 to -1, or it is better if we say -1 to 0, like this. Okay, simple. For call option this is 0 to 1, and for put option this is -1 to 0. Fine. Now if you have say 100 options, if say there is call option which has delta of 0.50, and if you take long 100 call, then your position delta is 50. If you take short 100 call, then your position delta is -50. Remember, opposite sign in case of short. If you have say put which has 0.30, and this is -0.30 as a delta, then long 100 put position delta is, remember, -30 with sign. You will own the sign in case of long. Short 100 put position delta is 30. Simple. Okay. Then the portfolio delta. Portfolio delta is very simple. We have say option 1, option 2, it doesn't matter. Okay, so option 3 -150 -50 plus 250. Okay, so these are the position deltas of individual options. Individual option means the option 1, say you have 100 call option in short. Okay, so short 100 call option and its position delta is 150. Then say 50 short options, so position delta is -50. So option type 1, option type 2, option type 3, like this. If you do this, if you take the total, so you will have like 50, 200, 200. So plus 50. So your portfolio delta is equal to simply summation of individual deltas in your security. Okay, so individual delta of xi. So simple, the securities delta, very simple. Now delta hedging. Now delta can be hedged by two instruments. One, option. Second, stock. Always remember, for now, this is the full class discussion. Always remember, for now, the stocks delta is +1. Options delta is like whatever is the delta. It will be like provided in the examination, but stocks delta is always 1. You have to remember this. Now see here. If you have one particular portfolio and the delta is say +150, the position delta of this particular portfolio is 150, or the portfolio delta is 150. You are provided with the say one call option which has a delta of 0.25, and there is also stock, and you are asked to make this particular portfolio delta neutral. Okay, hedging delta means making portfolio delta neutral. Right? So if you want to make this portfolio delta neutral, simply what we have to do, we have to introduce new delta with the opposite sign. So we have currently 150. We know the portfolio's delta is simply summation. So if we have the position delta 150 plus 150, simply introduce -150 and the total delta of the portfolio will be 0. Simple. So how to bring this particular like -150? So here what we have to do, if we decide to go with this 0.25 as a like call options delta. First of all, calculate number of call option you will need. Total number of call option you will need is, I guess, 600. 150 divided by 0.25, 600. So you will need 600 call option. Now decide, should we take the long option or call call or short call? So this can be decided based on our old concept, like the concept which we discussed just in a few minutes back. So if you want to bring the negative delta in your portfolio, you have to take the opposite, the short call, right? So short call. So if you take the short call, then you will have negative delta. Simple. Short call. Assume. And Gav will ask you this question. Okay, so how many call options you will need for making this portfolio delta neutral? So here you will get an option like this. So plus 600 minus 600. This plus means long call option and minus means short call option. Say plus 300 and minus 300, like this. And then you generally students are able to calculate this 600, but then they get confused and they like, should we take this long or short? Okay, so remember, you have plus 150 already in your portfolio. You need to bring the negative part. So if you want to bring the negative part, then you have to take the position in the call option which has a negative impact. Okay, so simple. The call options delta is always positive. You have to take the negative side, that is a short side. And if you take the short, you will have the negative side, negative sign. Then if we have, say, put option which has a delta of 0.50 negative, this is because this is always negative. So in this particular case, what we will do? Our objective is very simple. What is our objective? Bring minus 150 delta. So for this minus 150 delta, so 150 divided by 0.50, first do this calculation. Answer is 300. And now decide, should we take the long or call? We know puts delta is negative. Simply long it, so you will get the minus 150. With put long 300 options. Simple. Now, if you want to do this with the stocks and your objective is to get the minus 150 delta in your portfolio, simple. Because we know our stocks delta is 1. So simply do this. You don't have to do this. Okay. So whatever is the delta, simply take this. So 150, 150, simple. And long or short, as I said, this is plus 1, right? So if this is a plus 1, then you have to take the minus 1. That is a short position. You need the minus 1. So minus 150 or short stock 150. Very simple. Okay. I hope you got this. Then once we have this like particular part, then we have the gamma option, gamma discussion. Delta is done. Now let's discuss the gamma. Okay. So gamma will be provided. Generally, what is the gamma? We know this is our actual movement of option, and delta captures linear movement, and gamma is the curvature capture. We are capturing the curve. Okay. So the properly hedged portfolio is the delta gamma neutral portfolio. So if you want to actually neutralize the portfolio or reduce or completely eliminate the sensitivity of your option portfolio with respect to its underlying, then you have to hedge the portfolio or make the portfolio delta gamma neutral. Both the neutrality should be there. Now remember, every option has delta and gamma. Okay. Stock has no gamma, only delta, which is plus 1, right? So if you want to make the portfolio delta gamma neutral, then we have to apply slightly different method, and that method we will discuss later. For now, remember, if we assume, or this is the truth, we don't have to assume. So if we say like just a second. If we assume, say, delta is like a speed, then gamma is like an acceleration. Okay. So if you understand the relationship between the speed and the acceleration, so this is the same, delta and gamma. Gamma is always positive for call and put. Irrespective of you have call or put, gamma is always positive. How to calculate gamma? You do not bother about it. Graph will provide you this particular information. Always positive for call and put. Now, same logic is applicable here. For long call, you will always have positive gamma. For short call, you will have negative gamma. For long put, you will have positive gamma. For short put, you will have negative gamma. So gamma is always positive. Gamma is always, remember, gamma is always positive for the call and put option. Okay. And what is gamma in short? Like gamma is the sensitivity of delta, not the underlying, not the option, is the sensitivity of the delta and not for the of the option. Fine. So let's see this. This is the delta gamma. So delta first. So we already saw how to hedge with the delta. Here option delta, then we have calculation of delta, and this is the graph. Okay. So delta is delta is highest for in the money option and lowest, that is 0, for out of the money. Similarly, same is applicable for the put, but with the negative sign, remember. So in case of put, you have to remember the statement. In case of put, delta is lowest for in the money option. Why we are saying this? Because we know this -1 is less than 0. So that's why we are saying the lowest. In the magnitude term, both are same. Okay, so delta for the call and delta for the put, both are the strongest. I can say the word, I can use the word strongest deep in the money and weakest deep out of the money. But when you are seeing this graph, okay, so you have to always remember, if you see the statement, so delta is lowest for deep in the money option, and delta is highest for deep in the money call option. Okay, so for the put option and for the call option. This is again written here. Then the delta calculation method. So your ND1, if you are not provided direct information on the delta, and if GAP provides the ND1, so remember ND1 is your delta of an option. Then we have the gamma, and this gamma is like this. Okay, so the curvature is the actual relationship. This is the actual relationship. Delta captured this, and gamma is this particular distance. Okay, and that's why gamma is always positive, because gamma is additive term, because we are adding gamma in both the cases, right? So here also and here also we are adding gamma. So because the gamma is additive, it is always positive. Okay, and this is the gamma's diagram. So gamma is strongest at deep in the at the money, ATM, gamma is strongest, and for out of the money or deep in the money, it is weakest. Okay, gamma is highest for at the money option and approaches to 0 as it moves away from the at the money position. Then we have the portfolio, which is like the question on the delta gamma neutral portfolio. Here I also took the Vega, but it's fine. We can avoid the Vega discussion. Now let's see. This is the illustration. First we have this portfolio, and the portfolio has a delta of 665, gamma of 24. We are provided with the options, these instruments, and these instruments have, this particular instrument have the put option. This is a put option, and in put option has a delta of minus 0.335, 0.025 gamma, and Vega is 109.348. And then we have the stock 0 and 1, delta is 0, delta is 1, gamma is 0. Now in step 1, we have to start with making portfolio gamma neutral. You have to always, irrespective of what happens, always make your portfolio gamma neutral first. Why? Question. Delta, gamma. Portfolio has delta and gamma both, right? Here I guess we assume like this, 24. We have this put option which has some delta, whatever is the delta, 0.35 or whatever, and gamma of say 0.065. I'm just assuming random values here. And we also have stock, which has a delta of 1 and gamma of 0. And we want to make the portfolio delta gamma neutral. Now there is a first approach. Someone might say like, okay, I will first start with I will first neutralize the delta and I will go for the gamma. Okay, try to do that. If you neutralize the gamma, there are two options. If you neutralize the delta, you have two options. Either you can go with the put option or you can go with the stock. Irrespective of whatever you do, you will be able to do it. No problem with that. Now, as soon as you neutralize this, say 0, if you did it with stock, now you want to neutralize the gamma. But remember, you can't use stock to neutralize gamma. So you have only one option, this put option. When you use this put option to neutralize gamma, whatever you do, this put option will also bring delta with it, right? So if it is bringing delta, in addition to gamma, so your gamma is neutralized now, but now you have new delta. So that's the problem. Okay. So the only approach we have is first gamma neutralize the portfolio, and this can be only done with option and not by stock. Why? Because stock don't have any gamma. Okay, so how can you neutralize with the help of stock? So simple. So here in this case, let's see the calculation. So here we have the information. We'll start with the gamma neutral portfolio. Our position gamma is 24 and put options gamma is 0.025. So 24 divided by 0.025, 1000 put option. So we will add a 1000 put option. So 1000 put option will also bring, and what we need to do, long or short, we have to short. Why? Because currently position gamma is positive and we want a negative gamma. So we will take the short position. If we take the short position, then it will bring the positive delta. Okay. Now we will make the portfolio delta neutral. Now see what happened. So existing delta was this, and now we will have the positive delta from the short put position, and this is 0.335 multiplied by 1000, and now you have your new delta, and new delta is this. And once you have this like gamma neutral portfolio with delta, now the only thing you can do is make this portfolio delta neutral with stock. Now you can use only stock. Okay. Why? If you use the option, again that option will bring some gamma with itself, right? So if that thing will keep going on. So now we want to just hedge the delta, and we don't want any impact of gamma, and we know the stock has delta and no gamma, and for that reason we will use this particular thing. Okay. So simply, to make the portfolio delta neutral, take the short position in stock, because this is a positive delta of 1000, take the short position in stock. Simple. And this will give us the delta gamma neutral portfolio. Now this is Vega. Okay. So there is one more like question to make or hedge your portfolio with the there is a delta gamma Vega neutral portfolio. In that particular case, the only option is first make gamma and Vega neutral portfolio using the simultaneous equation. That particular question is very complicated. If you see that question in the examination, simply skip it and move on. Don't bother about that question, because the question will waste you a lot of time. Like first you have to do the simultaneous equation, then you have to work, then you have to solve the weightage. You will need two options. Like a lot of things are there. Okay. Now Vega. So Vega, we know the impact or sensitivity to volatility, and this is very simple. We know volatility is friend of all options. Because it's a friend of all options, this is going to be the positive always. Vega is greatest. This is the statement to remember. Vega is greatest for the option at the money and tends to 0 as the option moves away from ATM. And this is the diagram. Even if you remember this diagram will tell you the enough information. And this is again the Vega neutral portfolio. Vega neutral portfolio works in the exactly same manner as the gamma neutral or the delta neutral portfolio. You have Vega, you have, I guess, yeah, you have Vega, position Vega, and simply take that position Vega. You will be provided with the option which has some Vega. Just calculate the value exactly in the same manner as the delta. Okay, delta or gamma. Then key statement to remember. Then theta. Theta is the time decay impact. So when the theta is highly negative, gamma tends to be highly positive and vice versa. So this is the relationship you have to remember. The rest of the thing is simple, like the time decay. As the option reaches to maturity, there is a time decay, means the option will lose its value as it reaches to time to maturity. Then we have rho, interest rate impact. So again, just know this is the interest rate impact. Relationship of delta, theta and gamma, leave it. Portfolio insurance. Okay. Just understand how the portfolio insurance is, what is the concept of portfolio insurance, and that's it. Okay. So the main testable area was this only, delta, gamma. What is the delta? General type of questions are like, will the delta will be positive at the money, out of the money, and like that, gamma for out the money, at the money, out of the money. These type of questions are generally asked. Then the delta gamma neutral portfolio, the delta neutral portfolio, the gamma neutral portfolio, these type of questions will be asked. So you have to just remember all the basics, right? So that's all about all three topics revision. Thank you everyone. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any doubts, you can ping me on my WhatsApp number. See See you. Bye bye. Take care.